This is my hot take. I think a lot of people go based off vibes. How do they first feel when they see something?
And no thoughts, only vibes.
No thoughts, only vibes. And I understand it. I understand, because sometimes, when I see pineapple on pizza, my vibes are disgusting. But that genuinely, I think that it is because people go based off vibes. Their first knee-jerk reaction is ew. That's the thing I was told is bad. But
one, two, three, four.
Welcome back to the Clay County Speaks podcast, episode 4. I'm your host, Diana, and today we're joined with the Young Democrats of Clay County. I have with me Cameron May. He's the president of the Clay County Young Dems chapter, and we also have members Neil Verma and Zoe Kraft with us. We're diving into some big questions, like where is the party heading? What do millennials and Gen Z want from democratic leadership? What roles does democratic socialism play in the conversation? Pain points we all have with the party? And most importantly, how do we get more young people engaged and motivated and ready to fight the good fight? Before we start anything, I want to make sure, but don't forget to like, share, repost, comment, subscribe on this YouTube channel to help get the word out. And again, this is a debate. This is a conversation. We're going to be real and candid. So let's talk about it. So we're going to start off just where do you think this Democratic Party is going? When you look at the current direction of the Democratic Party, where do you feel like we're aligned? Is it aligned with young people like under 40, or really, if I said millennials, I'm going to say 43 because I believe it was like 1982. That's the cutoff. So what do you think we need right now?
Well, if we look at polling data, I would say that as of right now, the stance of the party, especially the leaders of the party, people like Senator Charles Schumer, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, Representative Nancy Pelosi, where they stand is not completely aligned with the ideas and the opinions of individuals who are under the age of 43.
Yeah.
I would say that the population, look at the polling indications, that segment of the population tends to lean a little more progressive as far as their politics and the policies they want to see implemented, as opposed to the policy proposals of those individuals.
Okay. All right. Zoe, what do you think?
I think it doesn't align very much at all. I think that a lot of people who are within my age group, I'm 22, and also obviously within both of our age groups, you're a little bit older than me.
Yeah.
Do not feel that the Democratic Party is kind of doing the things that we want them to be doing. There seems to be a lot of centrism within the party establishment that can be very off-putting to people who are my age, because affordability is a huge problem. Unless you have actionable plans that you are talking about related to affordability, we don't want to be with you. And a lot of the Dems, it feels like the establishment is just kind of like very slow, not really doing overly much about that.
Okay. Cameron, what are your feelings on that?
Yeah, so I would say that the party can win and has the support needed, but if you look at polls, the party is still so unpopular. In every single poll that comes up, a Democratic Party polls worse than a Republican Party, but as we saw a couple of weeks ago, Democrats still swept. So it's not that the party itself can't win, it's that Democrats, when they are polled, also don't have a high opinions of their leadership, unlike Republicans, who they have a higher approval rating, but they've been losing elections because Republicans do approve of their leadership. And I think a lot of that disapproval comes from young Democrats, because we look at Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, and they capitulate just like they did with healthcare. We spent over 40 days in a shutdown, and they just gave Republicans everything they wanted, and people didn't get healthcare, and we're not even going to get a vote on it. So that's the whole point, is why people don't see the party standing up for them. We even in moments where we have leverage, where they needed our votes to get to 60 votes in the Senate, we still give them what they want. So I think that's what people don't like, because if we had, if AOC or just anyone was a Senate minority leader, I feel like there wouldn't be this capitulation to Republicans. Yeah.
All right, that was a great answer. Perfect. So, and you said like for the affordability. So, I don't think. I mean, personally, I don't think that they understand the economic reality of anything that's happening for anybody like of 43 and below. Even honestly, if you go even a little bit higher, I'd say like 47 and below, because these people are like they're so old. They're so old.
Yeah,
they gotta go. Honestly,
like I've heard the term bureaucracy. I've used this term. Like geriatric, geriocracy. I've heard that term. The majority of our leaders who are in Senate, who are Democrats, are very old. Okay, and I'm not trying to be ageist. All right, there are older Democrats who do great work, awesome work. They do not relate to my experience at all at this point within their lived experience.
Well, they don't relate to ours either.
No,
as millennials.
A lot of them came from very privileged backgrounds. They were wealthy originally, or they've been wealthy for so long now that they cannot relate to the affordability problems that we're having. Or two, they don't even remember what college was like. Okay, they're not going to be able to relate. Or even when they were in college was significantly cheaper. They're not going to relate to my experience as a 22-year-old going to like a small state college. Not at all.
No, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, because they forget where they came from, or you know what? But some of them didn't come from like the regular people out in like the suburbs. Okay, they were born with silver spoons in their mouth is how I feel about that personally. A lot of them, because I feel like a lot of that is also like nepotism.
Yeah, I think that within this country there is it is an easier path for those who are wealthy to continue to receive higher education, and those who receive higher education are the sort of people who are going to be running for office generally. Like a lot of the people who we have in office, not really a lot, but there is a significant portion that get into these like higher level universities that they are only able to gain access to because they lived in affluent areas with good schools. They had parents who were willing to do like endowments or things like that, could afford tutors. That's not something that any of us really, I think, could have had or have done. Like, I don't think my children will be in a position where I can afford to do that for them.
No, so I agree. Because I mean, I went to school on grants. Because I was statistically poor enough, I had to wait till I was 26 to be considered like a dependent, or I mean an independent. And I had to go use grants because my parents weren't able to put together a college fund for me. Like, no shade on my parents. Sorry, mom. Sorry, dad. But it's the truth. But no, I had to be like, I had to, fight to get grants to go to school. And these people just get like, there you go, just shoot in.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, right? It's not fair to the most of America, to be honest.
Yeah. And
they pretend like it is.
They do. They pretend like it is. I think the core problem here that we are both referring to is that this leadership does not relate to our experience right now, and probably never would have related to this experience that we have.
No, absolutely. What do you guys think?
I concur. Yeah, I think the bigger issue is class.
Yeah.
I think age is a component of it. Like you said, there are good older individuals like Senator Sanders from Vermont. I like him a lot. Also Senator Markey, I believe, from Massachusetts. He's pretty good as well. And there's a couple of others. So I think the greater issue here is a class issue where they were either born into affluence or have achieved affluence during their time in office. And with that affluence, they just don't experience what the average American is experiencing in terms of housing affordability, food insecurity, medical debt, these are the things that they're just not on their radar. So how could they relate to the people who are suffering through those issues? So I think class is the major issue, and I would like to see more working class individuals engaged in politics, not only as voters but as people running for office. So, for example, if you're familiar with one of our own Florida representatives, Maxwell Frost, I believe he was an Uber driver before he was elected to the House of Representatives. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
I was going to bring him up.
yeah, right. He was, and I think it was interesting. He actually, when he got when he was elected, his credit score was bad, and he had trouble securing housing.
Yes, I
Yes.
remember
Yeah,
that. He
yeah.
couldn't find, he could not get a housing
No.
in DC
Right.
because his
Yeah.
credit score was so bad.
Right. So that's someone who I think for him much more likely to understand what the average American is going through because he's going through it himself.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of the members of even federal legislature, state legislature, I'm not sure they really identify with those type of struggles because of their class status.
All right. So what do you think on that?
I think it goes back to, you guys all make good points, but it's just like what we saw with healthcare, like I was talking about. These people in office are not going to fight for you to have healthcare because they don't have to struggle. They get great healthcare through Congress. And when these people don't have to live your same experiences, they're never going to fight for you because they don't know what to fight for. And they don't know the realities of, the working class. And I think it goes back, it would be great to have more working class members of Congress, but it's very hard to become a House rep or a senator or even a state rep because it takes money.
Right.
I'm pretty sure there's a filing fee for these things. Like you need money to run for office, not even counting funding your campaign.
Yeah.
And there's been a few people to do it. I know AOC, she was a bartender in 2018, and then she was able to do it, but it's a grassroots movement. And yeah, I don't know. It's just hard. It's just hard to represent us because I think it needs to be easier for working class people to run for office. I don't necessarily know what that would entail. Maybe removing some of the monetary guards that are in place to get people from running for office, and maybe just more so like a polling or a signature thing. But yeah, I don't know. Need more people to represent us.
In your opinion, though, what do you think? What do you think the Democratic Party needs to do, honestly, to say we elected Maxwell Frost and all of the liberals and all this, what exactly does that look like to you? What do you think these policies should look like and moving forward with the Democratic Party? We're going to go around and on.
Okay. Me first?
Yeah, you first.
Okay. Policy. What do I think the Democratic Party should do?
Yeah, because what do you think the priorities should be, honestly? Because it's like we're like, okay, we want this, and this, but what do you think? Like a new group of Democrats coming in, forget like the old ones that are actively in there.
Yeah.
Just forget about them. Say like a whole new slew of people showed up. And what do you think their priorities should be right off the bat?
I think there are very, very popular progressive policies that the majority of Americans support. Even I remember they polled, there was just a general poll of Zoran Mandami's policies. And they didn't list that it was Zoran Mandami's policies. They just put it, and the vast majority of Americans support Democratic Socialist policies. They just don't like
They don't like
socialism.
It's a dirty word.
And I think that we should be able to see what policies are popular and just run on it. For example, YIMBY policies. Most people support. They want more housing. They want affordability. But we can't have affordable housing when people they shoot down any sort. No, we can't. I don't want this in my backyard. No this, no that. I think it's just realizing that there are certain issues that we don't need to be fighting on. There's just a consensus, even from Republicans, there's a consensus on certain issues. But if we take each other out fighting on it, there's no point. So I would say just look at healthcare. Most Democrats are very popular on healthcare things, and
I like to be healthy. Yeah.
Why even capitulate on healthcare? That was one. There's just certain policies that we shouldn't even stand down on. There's policies we should fight for and that are just so popular that wouldn't make sense caving to Republicans, because most Republicans supported extending the affordable healthcare subsidies. Yeah. So I don't know. There's just I don't even know why we give Republicans things when, like, there's so many policies that Republicans and Democrats agree on we shouldn't even be fighting about.
Well, that is a whole nother subject I would love to touch on, actually. I think they're all together in each other's pockets. I mean, they're all shaking hands behind the cameras.
Yeah.
But that, I don't know if that's like a whole nother podcast, and we can talk about that. Oh no, more subjects.
More subjects.
Yeah, no, because the reason they are like capitulating with them, they don't care.
No,
these people don't care. The ones that are in there, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. They just don't care.
There's no horse in the race. They do not. Again, this comes back to the relatability. There's no horse in the race for them, whether or not they lose access to that kind of healthcare, because they are not the people who are benefiting from it. They do not have. This is generalizing. I'm sure there are some reps and some senators whose family members do benefit from these things, but they personally do not see it as a risk to their lives, their children's lives, their families' lives, personally, because they are wealthy enough and affluent enough that it does not matter. It comes back to that class difference. Mm-hmm. And I think if I can return back to the policies I would want to see, it is literally all of the things that you said. Socialized healthcare, free education, like things that are Americans agree very much, at least with healthcare, free healthcare or cheaper healthcare, reduced cost for insulin, things like that. Yeah. Like they all agree with that. If you don't say the word socialism when you are talking to people, to your peers, they agree with these policies. They like socialized things. They don't like the word socialism because of Red Scare propaganda. Yeah. Like it is deeply frustrating to me, because I believe if we had representatives who were willing to actually push for these policies, they would, one, be very popular. We would stop losing, number one. And number two, it would help Americans. What is the point of you representing us if you are not going to help us? You know, like we are your constituents. The reason why you get paid and why you get such excellent health care within Congress is for us. It's so that you can help us. So if I saw a whole slew of new representatives, it would be those kinds of policies: free healthcare, free education, cheaper housing, some sort of regulations on large companies buying out large swaths of housing, things like that. That would help.
Okay, Neil?
Well, I concur. I think that if you look at the polling, as far as what policies, I don't think it's definitely popular, but I think would be beneficial to the American public. I think Medicare for all is one of the big ones. I think universal basic income program, expanding Social Security to everyone over the age of 18 is a good one. A living wage indexed to inflation would be a good one.
That would be nice.
Like Santa Fe just did in New Mexico.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and there are other municipalities that are doing that. And then the state of Alaska, for example, has a universal basic income program. They have for decades. Since the 70s.
That's right.
And then guaranteed family leave, guaranteed sick leave, and guaranteed vacation leave for all American workers. Because again, these are working class issues that affect all people, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their age, regardless of their ethnic background. These are universal issues that affect most Americans, and that's why they poll so well. I think is that because these are issues that are universal to the general public at large. So those are the type of policies that I would like to see implemented by the Democratic Party were to regain control of the federal government. I think those are the policies and as I said, they would. I think if they ran on those policies when they're campaigning, would lead to victories, or likely would lead to victories, and would be beneficial for the public overall.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I'd like to add paid maternity leave to that. Mm-hmm. I think that should be something that the government should step in and be like, yeah, like if you're gonna be so pro-life,
right,
you better be pro-life from the jump. So you're kind of making it so like pregnant women can't really do anything.
Yeah.
But that's just my feelings.
No,
on
no,
that.
no. I
Well,
completely agree.
Yeah, family leave actually would encompass both new mothers and new fathers.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like paid paternity
Yeah,
leave,
right.
and because like I feel like 12 weeks is actually really short.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah,
you
it
just
is.
Yeah,
went
yeah.
through hell and back, to be honest.
In European countries,
I've,
like,
I've
Right,
never,
exactly.
Yeah,
I've
it's
never
much
had
yeah,
harder.
kids. I've
some
never had
father, I
kids.
think in like the Netherlands and stuff, like paid paternity leave is like 6 months longer.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's some
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
amount of
So you
Sweden,
time.
can bond.
Denmark,
So you can bond
Iceland.
with the
Yeah,
child.
Right,
Yes,
exactly.
you can bond with your child. You can assist your spouse in dealing with your small baby that needs a lot of stuff constantly.
Yeah.
Like it's just helpful.
Well, now that we're on that subject, we're actually going to go into democratic socialism. And the word that nobody likes to hear, we think it's a dirty word for some reason. I don't understand. I think we're just doing things that other countries have already been doing. But what are your feelings on this? Well, actually, first, who can give me the best definition of democratic socialism for people who are really not like familiar with what it is?
What I would say to my coworker is when you look at Norway and you see that they have free healthcare, that's socialism. That's socialism.
Yeah.
Period. Like democratic socialism is when you do socialized programs. And period. And then I would describe what a socialized program is, like free healthcare, free education, things like that. A universal basic income, like literally just socialized projects.
And I would like to add, because we lived in South Florida for a long time, but a lot of people, especially immigrants, when they associate socialism with like Maduro or Castro,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's more like communism, but people don't like making a distinction between communism and socialism either, as we see with Caroline Levitt's calling Zoran Mandami a communist, and he said, "I'm not a communist, I'm a democratic socialist." But the point is that a lot of people, that's the whole reason it's supposed to be democratic, is that Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, he's not democratic. Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua, he arrests journalists who, like what we're saying now to an extent, is that we want these reforms, we want basic reforms, so we also want to live in a democratic institution. This is not like we seize the means of productions and do this. No, we just want a government that works for us, but we also want to be able to speak what's on our mind and to speak out against the government. And I think a lot of people, they're just scared, and I understand they're scared because they immigrate here from an authoritarian government, but democratic socialists don't like authoritarian governments either. Like I see people, democratic socialists, speaking more against authoritarianism, and I see Republicans speaking against it. So we don't want a strongman government either. We just want a government that understands our problems and provides solutions while giving us our First Amendment, all of our rights.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay, all right, like it, Neil. Your feelings?
I think those are excellent ways to describe the ideology. I mean, it's interesting if I was describing it in sort of a practical definition. I would just argue that we're simply advocating for programs we already have.
Yeah.
We have Medicare, we have Social Security, we have taxpayer-funded highways, we have taxpayer-funded schools K through 12. None of us here have middle school debt. So just all we're asking for is an expansion of these programs that we already have. Just expand Medicare and Social Security and the education system. Then, as far as the funding aspect is concerned, again, we would be implementing a tax policy that was implemented back in the 1950s.
Yeah.
I believe under the Eisenhower administration, the marginal tax rate was as high as 90%.
Yeah.
And it was a very prosperous time post World War II.
Right.
So we're not asking for anything that we're not already doing or that other nations aren't doing as well. There's nothing really all that radical in a democratic socialist platform.
No, I agree with that. Because like when somebody who is not really for democratic socialism, when they look at other countries and they're doing those things that we're all suggesting, what do they see wrong with it, to be honest? What do you think they see wrong with it? I honestly rack my brain on this often.
It's aesthetics.
It's aesthetics.
It's all aesthetics. It feels woke. And
this train is public infrastructure as well.
Yeah, it's woke. It's woke, and that's a problem. It is literally the aesthetics of that country and the way that they're doing that. Like generally, This is my hot take. I think a lot of people go based off vibes. How do they first feel when they see something?
And no thoughts, only vibes.
No thoughts, only vibes. And I understand it. I understand, because sometimes, when I see pineapple on pizza, my vibes are disgusting. But that genuinely, I think that it is because people go based off vibes. Their first knee-jerk reaction is ew. That's the thing I was told is bad.
But how do you see like free healthcare as bad? I don't get.
Because
it does not compute in the brain for me.
They have been convinced that to get that free healthcare, they have to pay insane taxes.
Yeah.
They personally, the person who's living like it, I can say this, I lived in a trailer. I have family members who thought that to get that, they personally in their trailer receiving Medicaid already would be taxed out the wazoo in order to receive that. And that's just not the case. It is literally the propaganda that they have been fed is that in order for this to happen, you are going to get all of your money taken away from you. And they already have so little. And so that is like a no-go for them.
And I think that America, a lot, at least from my experience, because my family is all conservative, but we're there's a lot of individualism in this country, and that's why a lot of people are opposed to these things, because they say, well, I work for this, so I don't want this bailout or this. I don't want if I paid my student loans, I don't want people to student loan relief. So I think that's why it's like whenever we're talking about democratic socialism, people think like, and we are different from other countries in a way that we were founded in a way where there's a lot of like individualistic mindset and stuff, but just I don't know. It's like we live in a hyper capitalistic hellhole, and people think that we shouldn't help each other and all these things.
No.
But I think we've seen, especially now, where that's gotten us as a country is that we can't keep doing and trying these things that have gotten us nowhere. We see where this extreme version of capitalism has gotten us, and we need to break down some of these barriers that we have come find us to as a country, where we have to be this way. I have to work for this. I don't want my money going here. I'm an individual and I'm my own person, so it shouldn't help any other way. But look where that's gotten us. The average person is working class, and we are the average person has more in common than an immigrant and they ever are going to have with a billionaire. And that's why people are so confined into their little bubble. But people think you're not going to become a billionaire. I'm sorry to tell you that. You're not going to become a billionaire. The average person in the country is always going to have more common with an immigrant and a homeless person than a billionaire. And people need to give up whatever preconceived notions they have, and we need to try something new.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I think you would probably have more luck winning the lotto than actually becoming a billionaire.
Yeah.
Unless it's unless you're gonna trip over becoming a billionaire, you might as well not even think about that.
No.
I mean, I'd say 6 figures is good, but I wouldn't you're still not in the right tax bracket.
Yeah, but even a millionaire is nowhere close to a billionaire. We're talking about billions. And Trump, Elon Musk, they just, the Tesla shareholders, approved that $1 trillion package for him.
Yeah.
We're talking about money you can't even comprehend. We're not talking about a lawyer. This is another thing people talk about, is that when we talk about taxing individuals and wanting to create a fairer system, we're not talking about the lawyer who worked his butt off in law school, and he's making $400,000 a year. We're not talking about the doctor who's making $300,000. We're not talking about the pilot who's making whatever. We're talking about billionaires. We're not talking about upper middle class or even upper class individuals. We're talking about 0.001% of society, that if we tax them at 99%, I'm not saying we should, but I'm saying that even if we did, they're gonna live a more lavish lifestyle than any American. That's just the amount of wealth they have. We can't even comprehend. So I hate when they say, well, no, we're not even coming for wealthy individuals. We're coming for people who have exorbitant amounts of wealth that we'll never even be able to even fully be able to comprehend.
And just to sort of build on what you've been talking about, there's a term called cognitive dissonance, where people hold two contradictory ideas in their head at once. So you have individuals who are actively engaged in socialist programs. They take unemployment or disability, or they're enrolled in Medicare or Medicaid, WIC, food stamps. They drive on the highways. They send their kids to public schools. They call the fire department. They engage in all of these socialist programs, and then turn around and deride socialism. Say we don't want socialism. It's just as you say, the propaganda machine is strong. It's a strong propaganda machine, and unfortunately, they've been inculcated with these ideas. They've internalized them, and they can't see the contradiction inherent in what they're saying, what they're thinking, and what they're doing. In one breath they deride socialism, and the next breath they cash their social security checks. So that's a big part of the problem.
It comes back to the individualism. They think that they're different. I'm different because I know that I personally need this, right? But you can't extend that goodwill towards others around you because you've been inundated with like this consistent propaganda that there are people who are taking advantage of these systems that you are using ethically. You're using them ethically, but everyone else is all being immoral about it. Like, when that's just not the case. You are suffering, and so is that person, and both of you should receive assistance to not suffer as much.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that brings it back to like I'm gonna say something. The
Speak freely.
Speak freely. We said raw and candid, right? I think the mental health of a lot of people with this cognitive dissonance, with the individualism, I feel like it's very narcissistic behavior. Like you just like think about yourself and nobody else. I think there should be studies done on this actually.
Well, I think there have been
right now for whatever the fuck is happening now.
Well, yeah, I think like for people who are on the more conservative, regressive end of the political spectrum, they tend to test lower on empathy scales,
100%.
And higher on scales for what I think they call like the dark triad. So things like narcissism, selfishness, self-interest, and not having empathy for others. So
just missed a piece of brain.
Well, I think,
I'm just kidding.
I will caveat is that when we talk about these people, because some of you watching may be people who you're not about that life. You're like my relatives. You are like, I am receiving Medicaid and receiving SNAP for completely normal reasons. Everyone else is being kind of assholes about it. This isn't saying that you guys are narcissistic and self-interested and stuff like that.
Right.
This is saying that I think it benefits a lot of these politicians for you to not extend empathy to some groups of people so that we're more divided. Rather than like you're just more narcissistic and that's in your brain forever.
No,
like
we're not saying no. No, we're not saying that. No. Thanks for clarifying that. No, we're not trying to like, insult anybody.
No.
Okay, so now that we like discuss democratic socialism, how do we get like the young Democrats involved? Like these are great. We have talking points or whatever, but fuck a talking point, honestly. How do we get the fire lit under the asses of these people? We got to get up and moving. How do you think we need like action steps for all of this? Because talk is cheap. What do you think? Who wants to go first?
I think messaging is everything. I think that when you see successful campaigns, especially successful in the aspect of turning out young voters, you can look at the recent New York City mayoral election where Zohran Mamdani had great messaging. He gave young voters hope, and he also was very clear about what he would do for them. Having buses that are fast and free, that's help young voters. For childcare, like he made it childcare a huge thing in New York City because he was talking about how a lot of families are leaving New York City because they can't afford childcare, like young parents. I think it's just conveying how your policies are going to help young Democrats, and I think that for most politicians, they don't necessarily tie their policies into young Democrats or young anyone and how that will directly benefit their lives. But I think when you see successful campaigns like Zora Madami, specifically like grassroots movements that usually are formed around young voters. They have a very they have a policy list and they get that through to voters. And that's why I think a lot of people, at least in my experience before the 2024 election with Kamala, if you like in those interviews, people would go around and they would ask Kamala Harris voters like, what's your favorite policy about her? They couldn't even name a policy. But if you were asked, that's a problem, because when you have young voters and they can't even name a policy, how are you going to win people over? But you compare that with the New York City mayoral race. If you would go to New York City, ask people Zora Madami's policies, they would name policies. They would say, rent control, a rent stabilization for this many apartments, fast and free buses, free childcare. They would say policies, and that's why I think it's so important being like just having a basic campaign, but not basic in the sense that your policies are like just they don't have any substance. Basic in the sense that you're able to the average person is able to understand it and they can communicate that with people. That's what I think.
I completely agree with everything that you just said. I think the problem is absolutely messaging, and I think that a lot of the Dems that we have who are currently running for office don't care that much about outright stating what policies they are looking for. They're being too coy, and no one likes it. Yeah. No one likes how coy they are. My problem personally with Kamala is that she did not have strong, outright stated policies that she wanted to push forward as president. And I think that's a problem that a lot of people had. I knew people who were ostensibly liberal who voted for Trump because he stated policies that he wanted to do, and Kamala did not. She did not, which was deeply irritating for me because I had worked very hard in order to encourage others to vote. And then because of the unclear messaging of Kamala, they did not vote for her. And I think that that's just a problem overall for a lot of these establishment Democrats who are continuing to run for office. They have lost sight of the fact that they have to state that they are fighting for anything at all. They think because they are the other option, and in comparison, we're just dealing with Republicans, that they just deserve the vote, which is not the case. I want you to state what policies that you are for once you are within office. Outright state them. I don't want it to be on your website. I want you to say it and to consistently say it in the way that Mamdani has.
Go to KamalaHarris.com. No,
I'm not going on to KamalaHarris.com. Tell me within your speeches. I want to see, like Mamdani was doing, you are walking and talking to actual constituents who you would be representing. Like, I want more, you need to be active. You can't just be sleepwalking anymore. A lot of these establishment Democrats are just like, I'm the Democratic option. All the people who are ethical are going to vote for me anyways. So I don't have to say anything or do anything once I get in office. No, you're there to do a job. Tell me what policies and I will vote for you. Okay? Period. End of statement.
Okay, pop off, queen.
Sorry, I feel very... this is why Florida sucks so bad. That's why we're not a swing state anymore. No. The Democrats have given up and they don't state policies that they want. Please, tell me what you're doing. And some of my friends might vote for you.
But is that how we get, that's how we get you guys in your generation, okay? That is how we get that for your, but is that how do I say this? How, is that how we get a regular Gen Z?
I think it translates to anyone, translates over to anyone.
Over anybody? Yeah. Okay, but what about while stating policies, how do we get people to come into this office, say Clay County Young Dems is really where I was trying to get with.
But with us, we need to get out of the office is the problem.
Out of the office?
Yes, if I were running Clay Dems right now, I would be going to the colleges within our area and I would be trying to set up tables at certain college events so that people are aware that the Clay Dems exist. I would be setting up tables. I know that you guys already do this at the fair, right? At the fair and at the farmers market that happens. Handing out flyers. What are events within our area that a lot of people are going to be going to? I'm pulling up there.
So on that, actually, also no shade to anybody when I say this, at the events, you're not going to get people our age if you're going to have older people at the table.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say that because maybe somebody like us, we would like walk up like a little bit on the older my elder emo. Yeah, because I was born in 1988. So someone like around like my age, you're the same age as me.
Correct.
You're 37 as well. So maybe somebody like us, but I feel like when I was like 22, I would have never walked up to a table of a bunch of like older individuals.
No.
No shade against like on them, but I wouldn't think that they would be relating to me.
No.
You need something catchy to grab.
Yeah, we need like
Yeah,
flashy,
like-
catchy.
I think part of the success that other places have is that within our clay dems, the people who are most active are older people,
Yes.
which is good, and we appreciate that work. I love that they are here and doing this work. But we need more younger people because young people are not going to intentionally enter spaces where they know that they're going to be like the only young person.
But how? How is
people my age need to talk to our friends and be like, you need to come to this meeting.
Yeah.
Where there's going to be free food and stuff. And
free food. I mean, do we have? We don't usually have free food though. I mean, we have
so
like
we have free food
snacks.
sometimes, yeah.
Just snacks
Producers
and
saying,
water
"Let's do
bottles.
that." Let's do that. Like, I think what are the things that people our age want to do? An excuse to hang out and have like free food most of the time. Like,
an excuse to hang out. Okay, so
and
all right.
have free food. Like the focus
I like that.
literally needs to be networking. As an individual, you need to feel like strong enough within your friend group to be the lame one who's like, let's go to the Clay Dems meeting. And I'm sorry to say that we're all lame right now, but have you ever tried to tell a 20-year-old, yeah, you should come with me to like the Clay Democrats office?
Yeah.
Ew, gross. Absolutely not. I'm gonna go to the club.
Yeah, I'm going to the club. You can go do that during the day.
Yeah.
You go have fun. It's lame, but you gotta be that person. If you are a younger person who is within our age group right now, you gotta tell your friends, let's go do a lame, let's go to a political office.
But you gotta bait them. Like let's just talk about how much we hate the
yes,
system.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a fully,
Yeah.
we have to bait them. It's an excuse to like group up and complain.
Yeah.
Like genuinely,
Yeah.
complain and there's free food.
Yeah.
Complain and free. Oh my god.
Like
yes.
that's. I mean, why do you think there used to be
I
big
love
salons when we were in the Enlightenment era when they had salons in Paris? Yes, they all had salons and they were all meeting up literally to complain and write and eat good food. Like we don't have community right now, and that's why it's so hard to pull people in. Like,
I think you just described my mom. No, maybe that's why she likes to complain so much. Again, sorry, Marm. I know you're gonna watch this.
It's a core human experience to meet up with your buddies and eat good food and complain about your situation, and that's how I feel about it.
All right. Okay, so meetups.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, no, you can go. No, go ahead.
Maybe stepping up our social media game a little bit.
Stepping up the social media. We need hands to step up the social media game.
And I'm gonna do my part in standing up like for the kind of young dem social media.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I don't know, and especially on apps that you can reach people and blow up on easily, like TikTok, maybe even Twitter.
The socials.
Yeah, but young people aren't on Facebook and stuff.
No. I mean, I do post on Facebook every now and then just to like show my family that I'm still alive.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it.
No.
Yeah. Well, okay, Neil, you haven't talked in a little bit. What do you think? Like, what do you think would like grab somebody in that's like our age?
Well, I think we've kind of talked about some of the more immediate things that we do. I wanted to kind of take another tack on this issue and talk about a part of the problem is the tools that our system uses. They are very, very suppressive to the vote and to voter turnout. So, for example, Cameron, you talked about Zohran Mamdani and how that mayor's race had one of the largest turnouts for mayoral races in New York City in recent memory. Do you remember or do you know how Zohran Mamdani won the nomination for the Democratic Party?
The primary?
Right.
Yeah, over in Cuomo.
Right. There's
Well,
a
there's a
specific voting system that they use.
ranked choice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the current
Yeah.
voting system of what they call plurality
Yeah.
voting or first past the post voting uh, really segments the voter base. So, for example, if New York City was using that voting system for their Democratic electorate, Cuomo would have won with maybe 25 to 33%
Yeah.
of the vote. That's it. Well, I'm not going to turn out if that's all it takes to win. But because they were using ranked choice voting, that brought a lot of people out because now they could say, look, Zohran Mamdani, who was polling, I think, at 1% when he first entered that race, but now at least has a chance using this different type of voting system.
Coalition voting.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Like building coalitions, recruiting people, and it's better for both the candidate, because now the candidate, like you said, is able to build a coalition, and it's better for the voters, because now the voters can say, well, now this person at least has a chance. If it was the old style voting system, I'm sure a lot of those people wouldn't have turned out because they would have said, well, he's not going to win, so why bother?
It's only two options.
Right,
And
exactly.
he did it so well with like Brad Lander, for example. A lot of people were like, I don't know if Zohran Mamdani, because there's a lot of like scare tactics and work with some people. But you had like Adrienne Adams, I think her name is, and Brad Lander, and you had several candidates in the race that they teamed up with Zohran Mamdani, and it was everyone against Cuomo. That's who it was.
Right, exactly.
So if you're ranking anyone but Cuomo, then that's how you win. And that was how it was. Brad Lander, he did a huge thing. He said rank everyone but Cuomo.
Right, exactly.
And it worked so well.
Exactly. So that's I think one thing I would like to see that implemented at a larger scale. I know Alaska does it, and the state of Maine does it. City of Portland City Council. I would like to see that would be one democratic reform that I would like to see implemented on a larger scale. Another thing more specific to the state of Florida, we've been talking about opening up our primary elections to non-party affiliated voters. The state of Florida is one of the few states that still uses a completely closed primary system. 3.4 million people in the state of Florida are non-party affiliated voters. That would be a big step to recruit more people into party politics, be to at least have a semi-open primary where we allow non-party affiliated individuals to vote in our primary elections. And there are other things we could talk about. We could talk about how the electoral college suppresses people's votes. The filibuster in the Senate suppresses people's votes. Gerrymandering. There's a whole litany of democratic reforms we could be implementing that would really help increase voter participation, voter engagement, and voter turnout.
Okay. But do you think that would bring people into this office? To bring it back to
ranked choice, I think would bring people.
Do you think it would bring?
And it goes back to
people into the office?
Right,
The messaging of it, yeah.
I think especially now that Mamdani won, that we would be a strong hook for, because a lot of young people voted for Zohran Mamdani and identified with Zohran Mamdani. So we could talk about, hey, do you know that he used ranked choice voting to build a coalition to achieve that office? I think if you message it right and if we package it appropriately, then I think we can make these reforms attractive to younger individuals and get them engaged. And we can tell them, like, look, if you the more people who join and the more people who are engaged, the more likely these reforms are to happen. If you want to see these reforms passed, well, you have to kind of not to blame them, but there is at least some degree of saying, look, we can only do so much. At a certain point, you have to get off the bench, and come join us in the struggle. So,
and if it's not like a strict, two-person race anymore, if your feelings, if your opinions align more with one person, then it's a big tent, because then you say, I'm going to rank you, I'm going to rank you, I rank you. I don't really like you, but I'm going to rank you too. It gets people engaged because when it goes from a two-person race to you can. It's a big pool, and your opinions can be heard in a variety of different ways. You can say, well, this person aligns the fourth best of my opinion, so I'm going to do this. I mean, you get so many people brought into this pool because they don't feel shut out of a system anymore. They know that their voice at least has that potential to be heard.
I think there were about 12 candidates on the Democratic.
There's a lot of candidates.
There were a lot of people running for mayor of New York City and New York side. So it was good. But I like that. That's what we want to see more of: more participation, more engagement.
Because that's better democracy.
That's right. I concur.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was actually amazing, but we are going to be closing it and wrapping this up. Do we have any final thoughts on anything? Zoe, do you want to go first?
Things should be more affordable. I think we should offer free food and excuses to hang out.
And excuses to hang out. Okay. Yep. I like it.
I think it just goes back to realizing that we all have more in common than we do like that separates us. I know that's like cliche, but seriously, the people want us divided. They want you more mad about a transgender person you saw on Lips of TikTok, or an immigrant that you who doesn't even live in your community. And if they can successfully separate us, then we're never going to be focused on the real issues that we talked about in this podcast. So realize that we have we really do need to come together. We have collective struggles, and if we are able to take down this oligarchy, these billionaires that seriously are driving most of these issues, affordability, healthcare, all these different things, then we can get a lot done.
Okay, Neil.
Yeah, I would just like to say, I can't predict the future and I can't guarantee success. But success only happens if you try. If you don't even try, if you don't even put forth an effort, well, then you'll never achieve your goals. So I encourage everyone to try, get out there, do as much as you can. Every little bit helps. And if we can build a grassroots movement, a coalition of millions, even if they're all contributing in small ways, that could really add up to a lot of change and could really affect a lot of people's lives for the better.
Absolutely, I agree. So if you've been looking for a sign to get involved, it's right here. This is your sign. If you made it to the end of the podcast, here's your sign. But we need to get more people to volunteer, show up to our meetings, and just simply start having real conversations like this one. Come in and have a chat, because this is the future of America, and it isn't waiting. But yes, thank you so much for tuning in to the Clay County Speaks podcast for the 4th episode. Until then, we'll see you on the next one. Don't forget, we need to share, repost, comment, subscribe. All of those buttons are right at the bottom. You put little arrows, but yeah. press those things. We need engagement. All right, so until then, have a good one. Bye.